Hello, good morning, and welcome back to Portugal Junkies.
Hey y'all.
Hi.
As I slurp my coffee.
And I'm on orange squash. Because
Tell them what squash is.
It's like concentrated juice. No added sugar in this one, thankfully, because I've been guzzling it down. It's getting pretty warm here, so I feel like I need this. Also got a bit of a head cold.
Are you stuffy?
I'm a little bit stuffy, but yeah, anyway. Moving forward, so what happened this week? This week we had some friends come in to town.
We did. We were
from abroad.
Yeah, we were welcoming party in Tavira this week. I think. So we had basically a friend of mine from college reached out, and one of her friends from graduate school was going to be in Tavira.
Yeah. You've never met her, though?
No, I didn't know. We had the greatest time. We all met for drinks and just chatted about her potentially moving here and all the things.
Yeah,
how
what
that
it
goes.
looks like.
3 hours later, we're like, okay.
Maybe
had enough wine.
3 hours later, it was like, well, maybe we should have just ordered it as a bottle instead of individual glasses.
That's always the problem.
Always the case. Always the case. But it did. It got us to talking about life and the realities of, what you've left behind and what somebody else is particularly worried about leaving behind. And that drew us on to, what do we miss?
Or it's like the things that we miss, but we thought we'd miss, but we really don't miss.
But not. Yeah.
Or
it's
things that we thought we'd miss and we missed at the beginning, but they're not a big deal now.
Right.
That's even better because, 15 or 16 months later, it can be like painful at the beginning, but not so much.
Not so much. But later. For instance, one of these particular things, if that was put in front of you right now, for instance, if a Bojangles truck drove past here right now, we'd be chasing that mofo down and gorging on it.
And you notice he said we.
Yes. Oh, that's me included, for sure.
I do, once in a while, I miss
It's something about the crunch of it. And you can get sort of crunchy over here, but it's not quite the same. It's not at all the same.
No, it's not.
So, yeah. So again, just coming back into...
So that's number one?
That's number one, which is straight in there. Come on, at it.
So we do miss it, but we don't miss it as much as we thought we would miss it.
Correct. Yeah.
That's for sure.
And
what else do you think you miss that you thought you would miss more than you do?
I think because where we're living in this sort of condominium and where we've been living previously, I haven't had to take care of a garden, nor have I had to take care of any DIY stuff. So one of the things I thought I would miss is my garage full of tools and bits and pieces and odd job bits of wood. It's like, I'll save that 3 months later, 3 years later. Still haven't used it, but it might still come in handy.
Of course.
And so I thought I would miss not having all of these pieces around me. Because no matter how much I did moan about having to cut the grass all the time, that was a choice thing. And I thought I would miss it, but I really haven't.
Right.
Even though I moaned about it, it was nice at the end of the evening to look back out on it and go, that garden looks absolutely sweet. I thought I would miss it more.
Yeah, and
but
you don't.
I don't. The idea of going out in this heat, particularly, and cutting grass does not give me joy.
It's interesting the things that.
But I will say,
because I fight you on this that you always like to do the yard, but you always then dreaded doing the yard. So it's this mentality of like maybe I should like to do the yard,
right? But this is the thing. Back in England, I absolutely loved it, and I had an allotment, and it was a double allotment. So it took a lot of time and effort, and I thoroughly enjoyed growing plants and flowers and all that sort of stuff. But again, it was feeling like I had to do it because I wasn't prepared to pay somebody $50.
You're just cheap. That's what it comes down to.
Yes,
buddy.
I am.
You're not a lawn lover or a garden lover. You just don't want to pay somebody to do it.
But I think back in England, I was absolutely into it. But then, I was 8 years younger or 5 years younger, whatever. So I was all about that. And I was, at that point in time, I was just living in the place on my own. And I had a bunch of time on my hands.
Yeah. It was a hobby.
Yes.
I also think there's a difference between, mowing and gardening. gardening. You're growing something. You're
well, and that was the
cultivating
thing.
something.
There was nothing that I thought. I mean, we grew a few bits and pieces in raised beds in Charlotte.
Yeah.
But
jalapenos. That's what I miss.
Yeah.
And that is going to be there. I still miss jalapenos.
Yeah. But that's not, that was pretty much it. Jalapenos and a few other odds and sods. Herbs. Peppers and herbs.
Peppers and herbs.
Herbs.
But you know what? This makes me really think about like simplifying and the perspective around that too, right? Which is, you know, you can say you might miss that a little bit, or you missed it at first and now you don't, because your life is more simple here.
Yep.
And we're leaning into that. You know, you let go of some of those things that you thought that you might miss in order to have a more simple life.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you know, all of those things I've mentioned, we can walk down to the Mercado by the river and buy it from
fresh
mum and dad homegrown
That's right.
allotments. So I'm happy about that. So I thought I would miss it far more than I have.
You actually do.
Yeah.
So it's Bojangles.
Bojangles, gardening / mowing.
Lawn, tools.
Tools, yeah. I mean, it was like, oh, and maybe we should put a shelf up here. Maybe
For
we should
what?
build a bar. Okay, let me buy all the bits and bobs and do it myself. And it worked out a darn sight cheaper, and it was a lot more rewarding at the end of it.
Yeah.
So, but I do not miss that now. Again, I'm cheap and now lazy. what can I say? Portugal, you've made me.
Made me cheap and lazy.
You've made me who I am. So, yeah. So what's one for you? What's another biggie that you thought you would?
I thought that I would miss ice. I really did, you know, because that's the thing. Like, you grow up as an American and all you hear about Europe is like, they don't do ice in their drinks over there.
Right.
And I know that sounds ridiculous, like it's such a big deal, but I thought that I would miss it more than I actually do. Mm-hmm. Most of the time now, I don't even think about it.
Well, no, I mean, we have the water in a Brita
filter. And so most of the time I just drink water out of the tap.
Right.
So it doesn't even have to be cold to me anymore. Right. I don't know. I've kind of always preferred like my normal day drinking water, you know, room temp anyway. But like when you want a Coke or a Coke Zero or something, I envision it with ice, but I get that once in a while out here, but we don't have it in our home, if that makes any sense. Like our fridge is not going to make ice for you.
Well, fridge won't. Freezer won't.
And we're I'm too lazy to make an ice tray.
Yeah, it's like,
because it's not that important to me, so I don't do it.
Work.
But I really did think that I was going to miss ice, but
so if you thought that was the case, do you miss, you know, when you walked into a restaurant or anywhere most restaurants in the States anyway, you sit down and it's like, I'll bring you some water with a straw. Do you miss that?
Free water?
Like the water with ice, like ice water when they walk in? And
no.
You don't?
Well, we've had this conversation a lot, but I'm just not a big drinker in that respect.
Of what?
I'm not a thirsty person.
Right.
In general, I have to remind myself to drink water throughout the day, and sometimes it's 2 cups of coffee, and then I go at dinner, and I'm like, I haven't had anything since my coffee this morning. Like, It's terrible, but it's true, and so I don't miss that at all. It's just not on my radar. But I think a lot of people, especially maybe people in the South, right?
Yeah.
That they're used to iced tea. That kind of like my dad and mom still get a cup of ice, put their drink on top of it. I mean, they're drinking their drinks throughout the day.
That's right.
With ice in it. I thought it would bother me, but it doesn't.
It doesn't. No.
It might bother someone, but it doesn't bother me. So.
Yeah, I think it's another one of those that ultimately you will just get used to it because it's very uncommon for it to happen as
it's just a lifestyle thing. I mean,
you'll get asked, hey, would you like some water? And that will then come out in a bottle for which you're paying. Right. I mean, cheap. You know,
wine is cheaper, so.
Yeah, that's... In some places, that is so true.
It is true.
That is so true.
My dear, sweet listeners, I say this with all the love in my heart. If you haven't traveled in beautiful Portugal yet, what are you waiting for? You are missing out big time. Iconic beaches, delicious wine, centuries of history, and honestly, some of the most beautiful people that you will ever meet. Why do you think we moved here? So, when you're ready, we are ready to help you plan the most perfect customized Portugal itinerary just for you, and more importantly, how you like to travel. Family trip with the kiddos, lazy girl travel, history buffs, foodies, combinations of all of those, we got you. After exploring Portugal since 2022 and then immigrating here, we're really excited to build travel plans for you that help you see this gorgeous, special place by understanding the way that you like to travel. Book a free call with us right now on our Stan store at stan.store/PortugalJunkies, and we'll talk through your ideal trip and start planning your customized Portugal itinerary. You'll even get your final itinerary on an app to use during your trip for easy access right on your phone while you're here. Remember, adventure is a verb, y'all. We're excited to help you plan yours.
Here's the other big one along the same lines of this. I thought I would miss bourbon more than I do.
All right.
Because when we were in the States...
Yeah, you can't find your
bourbon. When we first started dating, I would say in my 30s, I discovered bourbon, and I really like old fashions and like that. But when we first started dating, that was the thing. Like, we would go out for cocktails, or he would make me, and he's not even a bourbon drinker, but that was the thing. Like, when we were first dating,
I like the smell of it.
That we would do, and so it became this like, we're gonna try this bourbon, or I'll try this bourbon. And in the States, I had my favorite, and I got here, you can't find bourbon. If you find one bottle, it's Jack Daniels maybe, or Jim Beam, and that's questionable of whether I would actually call that
for
a
all
bourbon.
the aficionados out there.
And I'm not even an aficionado, but I did think I would miss it more. But now that I realize that it's just not something that you can find very easily here, I've just kind of
moved on.
It's just, they have bullet. Let me qualify. You can find it in bars. You might have 2 or 3 options, and then there are particular bars that you find that have more bourbon than others. But when you go to the store, you're very limited in what you can buy and actually have in your home. Yeah. So,
although I will say,
I would miss it, but I don't.
I will say that of the most obscure places that I've found what I was told was a very good bourbon was at my barber. Thank you, Joao. Which was Angel's Envy.
Yes. See, that's a good example.
He has a bottle in his place.
Which is funny, because how did you get that? Where did you get that?
Apparently he got gifted it from a client.
Someone got it back here. And
I think that's pretty much it.
Because it's not like on the shelf anywhere.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. So it does make it more special when I go out and I decide to order a drink, because I see a bourbon that I like on the shelf, and then I'm like, oh, an old fashioned, but it's just not. That used to be my go-to cocktail. Now I'm just like...
Yeah, Jonathan's is good.
Jonathan's is always good. So Jonathan makes the best one in town.
So far, that's the best one you found.
All right, what else? What else do you feel like you thought you would miss more than you do?
I'm going to say I thought I would miss our house, our home.
Oh.
And there's a couple of different reasons, but most of all... we built it. Well, we're not physically by our hands, but we had it built and all of that jazz. And as an English person, having a house that is like 3,750 whatever square foot, 4 bed, 3.5 bath, 4 bath, something like that. I can't even remember. Just goes to show. And it was just this most beautiful castle. Again, coming from an English guy, where houses in England are not that big unless you are paying $1 bajillion
and not new,
and not
a lot, right? In that price point,
but equally, they're not made the same. They're made out of brick rather than stick and all the rest of it. So different building construction. But the point I'm trying to get at is, I thought I would miss having this majestic house. As I was considering.
I love how you describe it.
It was. I was very proud of it. I was very, very proud. I know that my parents were extremely proud of what we had managed to build and, what it's at.
And create,
Yeah, and I think I remember when I told Mum about what we were doing to move over here, she was like, oh, so, but you're keeping your house, aren't you? I was like, well, we're going to rent it out, but, ultimately we will probably sell it. Oh, Mark. That's a shame. it's beautiful. It's like, yeah, but it is, but we've got the next chapter, and that's what we're looking forward, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I honestly thought I would miss it a lot more because of all of that sentimental attachment of it being a beautiful place. Not like anything that I had ever known any of my family or friends to have.
Yeah.
I mean, there may have been one or two people that were like inherited nicely. But as far as I was concerned, this is what I had worked toward, and this is what we achieved, and all of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I thought I would miss it a lot. And I will say, I think at the beginning I did.
Yeah.
I think I probably found it harder to break off from that house than you did. But
but
now,
it's not because of sentimental reasons. To me, I look at that house now lovingly as a place that facilitated this life.
Yeah.
And to me, there's no comparison. We're learning so clearly that stuff, and it's different with a home, but like material things, and it's just not as important as the lifestyle that you might want to live. And that home, quite frankly, facilitated this move. And so I look at it and I'm grateful, and I will always be like, oh my God, that was a great place. Mm-hmm. But not enough to stay there and retire there. And I think that's the difference. Is once we knew that we weren't interested in retiring in that area so that we could live in that home for the rest of our lives, eventually you're gonna sell it, right?
Yep.
So that's why I think I don't miss it as much as I thought I would too, because I appreciate what it has done.
Honestly, I think quietly, my mum probably misses it just as much as I do, even though it was. And, so.
I miss the space. No, I don't miss the space. It's a good example.
Right.
So my gut tells me to say.
I thought I was going to miss the space.
That I miss having so much space. But again, it's the same concept, right? I don't miss having that much space to maintain.
Right.
I don't miss having that space to fill up with what? Like
there is an allure to having a very nice big open plan, blah blah blah, all the rest of it. Yeah. But then again, you've got to present it, you've got to keep it clean, you've got to keep it tidy, blah blah blah, all the rest of it. And we still do that in this smaller defined space that we now live in, most of the time. But I don't know. I thought I was going to miss it really, really terribly. And at the beginning, yes, but now, no, because I've redefined what brings me joy.
Good point. That's a good way to put it. That house brought us a lot of joy for a lot of years.
But now I'm redefining what that joy now means.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Listen, when we moved to Portugal not knowing a bit of Portuguese, I was so nervous about a lot of things. But the visa process was the most nerve-wracking, including the part where, you sign a legal document like a lease when you don't even know how to read the language. So we were referred to our lawyer, João Pinto, to get some help with translating, interpreting, and negotiating our lease in Porto. And he was so awesome that we've decided to keep him. But now, that one simple task that he helped us with has opened our eyes to everything that he does. He specializes in helping Americans move to Portugal, the entire visa process, and even buying a home here. We did our visa process all on our own, and now looking back, part of me really wishes that we had known João then and all that he could have helped us with to navigate the sometimes crazy path to get here. Good news for you though, he's graciously offered our listeners a free consultation call and a 10% discount. So, if you're looking for a trusted, certified lawyer in Portugal to help you with your move to Portugal before, during, or after, we highly recommend João. He's super responsive, so smart, and a great communicator. Head over to our social media accounts on Instagram or TikTok. Access our stand store in the bio, and you can download João's list of services for free and schedule your free call and get 10% off. Cheers, y'all!
And I do think that we have also learned that, again, when we go back to, I thought I would miss the space, we've learned that we don't need all that space. And so it's not a big deal to think about moving to the next place that's 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And that's what we're in now. It's just like that's just normal now to us. And I think that, again, it goes back to simplified life. Absolutely. That house we built, yes. We built it when we both had cushy, corporate type jobs that were making us miserable. And it also was keeping us there because we had built this house that we now had a mortgage on. It's just a different
I think
perspective
we
and lifestyle.
were very lucky to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
I don't even look at it as moving on. It's moving forward. It's going on to the next journey. Yeah. And our life has always been, as far as we're concerned, when we started dating and everything, it was always a case of, okay, what is the next chapter? What does that look like? And where's that going to be? And if that was a big holiday, or if that was, as in this case, moving to another country, that's what it was all about.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Anything else that you miss that you thought you'd miss more than you actually do?
We've mentioned this before on previous podcasts, but cars.
Oh, I know. They're probably like, we know y'all don't like to drive. We talk about it all the time.
I will drive mostly out of necessity, or in some cases for pleasure, to go to a particular place. But the rest of the time, no, screw that. And it's either Uber or Bolt, but mostly Uber. And yeah, I just thought I would miss the whole being in charge or being in control.
Yeah.
Of when I wanted to go, where I wanted to go, how long I wanted to stay, not worrying about can I get an Uber back from the middle of this mountainscape, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And so leaving that control behind in not having a car is taken quite a bit for me, but I'm there now.
Yeah.
That I don't miss having a car. And we were talking to somebody yesterday, and he lives up in Lisbon, and he was saying, you're down here in the Algarve, so, and you mentioned to him, yeah, but we still don't have a car, and that's not what we've had for the last 16 months. He was like, but how do you get around? I mean, he's in Lisbon, he doesn't have a car, but he's got a metro, he's got a really good public infrastructure. We're down here, it's there, and it's good in its most cases, but it was just the shock and horror on his face. Well,
it wasn't really horror. It was just so surprised.
Sorry. Yeah.
I think what it was is that he hasn't spent much time in the Algarve, and so even someone who's been in Portugal for 2 years?
2 years, yeah.
And lived in Lisbon thinks of the Algarve in a certain way.
Maybe.
That obviously you need a car down there, right? And I guess it's more appropriate to have a car down here.
Yeah, you can really understand why somebody would have that opinion. And honestly, if I hadn't been down here before, I'd have had the same opinion. It's a long stretch between here and Sagres.
Yeah.
It's a 2 hours, 2.5 at least, drive. Pleasant, and you can stop off and all the rest of it, but if you're going to do that by Uber, that's going to be quite expensive.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it by train, it's going to be quite a long day. So, I can understand not having it. Yeah. But if you're staying in Tavira or 1 or 2 towns either side of Tavira, it's not really necessary, in my opinion.
No, I don't.
If I start kicking off the real estate more and we need to decide on having a car, so be it.
Yeah.
But it's going to have to be a really good reason.
Yeah, because right now you'd have to fight me on that one.
Right, and I have to fight myself on that one.
I just, I thought I'd miss that much more, or I thought it would be a bigger transition than it is. I love walkability now. I love being able to walk into town and have breakfast or go to the market or have a coffee or whatever. It's
without
so nice.
The car. Don't have to worry about parking it.
Don't have to worry about who's driving.
Right.
All of that. It's just really, really nice. So that's definitely one on my list that's like I thought would be a bigger deal than it's so not a big deal to us. Yeah. But we also hoped that that's what it would be. We hoped that we were going to a place that we had a different lifestyle like that. Because it is so different in most places in the United States. Like it's very car-centric. Yeah.
It was built on that. So. It was. But I think those are probably the biggest highlights of what I thought I would miss, but actually don't. Yeah. I might have a moment of
like I
nostalgia.
Really want Bojangles right now.
Yeah. We really need to stop talking about Bojangles.
No, we do. Because,
unless somebody's got the secret recipe.
Nobody's going to have it. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. You can go to KFC here. which the fact that KFC is here blows my mind. But anyway, you can go to KFC here and try to order your little fried chicken tenders.
Yeah,
It's not the same.
No.
No, it's not the same.
No paper.
Piper, no.
It's not the same.
Okay, well, we'll see you
There we
guys
go.
next week.
Yep, thank you very much. Have a great week.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening and
Cheers,
watching.
y'all.
Cheers. Oh,
Squash.
bye.
Listen up, future expats. For more content about our move, the visa process, Portuguese culture and destinations, and tons of support resources for your own decisions and potential move abroad, follow us at Substack, TikTok, and Instagram at Portugal Junkies.
Stay in touch and help us reach more people by subscribing here and following us there.
Cheers, y'all!